Hello friends, I hope you all are doing well. Friends, as we know that COVID-19 has made all of us helpless and aloof from the social or the outside of the world, and it might lead us to the laziness or boredom, but not anymore. Because our school has taken the initiative and they have started this kind of video lectures to make you all study conscious and active. Well, that reminds me of class 9 story of Tom and Margie, the fun they had. As we all are as we all are looking in front of the small screen, and there is a teacher who is teaching through this small screen. But hopefully not very much alike, because I'm not a robot. Anyways, jokes aside, on a serious note, I think it's time for every student to learn from the home, because we never know when all these things will get settled. So you all have to start preparing for your next challenge apart from this corona, that is the real challenge, SSC board examination. And you guys have a lot of time right now, so utilize it in a best manner for your future. So without further delay, let's start the first story. But before it, let's talk about the faith. What is faith? How it can help the people to overcome the obstacle and to propagate in their lives. We normally listen that faith can move the mountain. It has so much power, it has so much strength. It has a power of sustain. Faith is like a Wi-Fi. It is invisible, but it has the power to connect you to what you need. That is what is faith. So the whole story which we are going to talk next is all about faith. A Letter to God, which is written by GS&HSEB. Okay, so before going to the story, we'll go to the introduction part of the writer, and Gregorio Lopez Fuentes. He was born on November 17 in 1897 and he died on December 10, 1966. Gregorio Lopez Fuentes was a Mexican novelist, poet, and a journalist. He was one of the leading chroniclers of the Mexican revolutions. So he has a Mexican Okay, now you can see the title of the story in front of your screen. A Letter to God, which is written by G.L. Fuentes. Gregorio Lopez Fuentes. He was born on November 17 in 1897 and he died on December 10, 1966. Gregorio Lopez Fuentes was a Mexican novelist, poet, and a journalist. He was one of the leading chroniclers of the Mexican Revolution. That means he has taken the initiative. He was one of the leader in this revolution, Mexican Revolution. Fuentes started writing at the age of 15 when the Mexican Revolution began. So he has started at the same time when this Mexican Revolution started, and that is even at the age of 15. Many of his books are related to the civil conflicts. So his books generally dealt with this civil conflict. Later on, he became a teacher of literature at a school in Mexico City in 1921. He began writing for the El Universal
often under the Tulio of Pazzin's pseudonym. Sorry, it's a bit difficult to pronounce. It's completely Mexican name. Now, pseudonym is the pen name or the fictitious name of the writer or the poet or any kind of literary man. Okay, they use this name, this another name to sometimes to hide their identity, sometimes to get some popularity. Uh, Completely dependent on their mindset. His stories were seen as exciting, humorous, and symbolic of Mexico. So the story, whatever he writes, okay, they are very exciting, they are very humorous and symbolic of Mexico. Even this our story, it is even exciting, humorous, and it has the symbols of Mexican country. A realist. Now he was very realist man, very realistic man. Many of his works concern the oppression of Native Americans. As he was very realistic, we can see in his writing that he has written about the oppression of Native Americans. He has written many books. He was even awarded with the National Prize of Arts and Science in 1935. Okay. So before we start the story, as I talked about faith earlier, okay, why I have talked about the faith? Because faith is the only thing that has these central characters' life to go forward, to overcome the difficulty that he has right now. And I think this is the only thing that not even this central character but all the humankinds, that the faith is the only thing that help us to overcome the obstacles in our lives. And it is that definitely it is, I think it's very true that faith can move the mountains. Okay, so now this question is there, but what should we put our faith in what we should put our faith in? To a God, to a human, to our families, to our strength, to our confidence, to our abilities, in what? So this is the questions this story delicately poses. Now, whole story revolves around the central character Lancho. The picture is given on the left side. You can see. So he is basically a farmer who writes a letter to God. Now, this farmer has written a letter to God, but why he has written to the God? When his crops are ruined, asking for 100 pesos. So, why he has written to the God? Because his crops are completely ruined and he asks 100 pesos. Pesos are the Latin American currency. So he asks some money with the help of that letter to the God. So does Lencho's letter reach God? Because we don't have addresses of the God. Do we have? Okay, so does Lexus later reach the God? Does God send him the money? Now, these two questions are more interesting than the this. I know it sounds a bit stupid, but still, I know it sounds a bit stupid, but still, it is the story. And I think the story reminds me of the story of Narsi Mehta. I hope you guys learn the poem in Gujarati, Hundi, which is written by Narsi Mehta. Basically, this poem, Hundi, is all about one of the event of the Narsi Mehta's life. Okay, so what happened that Narsi Mehta borrows some money from the money lender, and that money lender wants money back now. So at that time, Narsi Mehta doesn't have any kind of money. So he has written a hundi. Now hundi is a promissory note that on this date, this person will give you the amount of the money which is described in that promissory note. So now he has written a hundi. Okay, on the name of the Lord Krishna. And the same money lender, when he has even written the address. Now that address, somehow this money lender went to that address, he reached there and he find the same person. And now of course we know that that person was not the simple human being, he was the Lord. But he gained that money somehow. Okay, this is somewhat similar to that story, so that is the reason that I have mentioned here, no other things. Okay, so what do you think with this answer? Will Lencho's later will reach to the God, or God will send him the money? These are the questions that you should guess and start thinking on it. But we'll go to the story right now. Okay, so the story starts with the descriptions of the house where the Lencho and his entire family reside. So the house, the only one in the entire valley, sat on the crest of a low hill. From the height, one could see the river and the field of ripe corn dotted with the flowers that always promised a good harvest. Okay, so the house where it is the only one in the entire valley. Okay, the house is very solitude, very aloof from the other residential area. Okay, it is only one in the entire valley, and it was situated on the crest. Now crest means a top of the hill. The meanings are given on the right side of your screen. You can see that. So the set, it was situated on the top of the hill of a low hill. Now hill was not that much of height. Okay, it is a bit low, and the house was on the crest of a low hill. From this height, anyone could see the river. So river is visible there, and along with the river, the field of ripe corn, they are also visible, and they are dotted with the flowers. So flowers are blooming, they are dotted, they can be seen, the flowers are dotting with the flowers can be seen from the uh, house. And these flowers always promised a good harvest. Okay, so flowers are blooming, that is the sign of the good harvest. So now they are going to have a very good harvest. The only thing the earth needed was a downpour, or at least a shower. Now downpour is a heavy rain, and a shower, that means a very mild rain. Okay, so everything is fine. The only thing they require, that is the rain, whether it is a heavy rain or a mild rain, whether it is a downpour or a shower. But they need some water. Okay, so this means that they doesn't have other water facilities, right? They don't have canals or other kind of things. So they are hoping for the rain. Throughout the morning, Lencho, who knew his fields intimately, that means in a very detailed way. Of course, he knew his field in a very detailed manner. So throughout the morning, Lencho, who knew his field intimately, had done nothing else but see the sky towards the northeast. So what he did nothing but he just gaze the sky, and that is even towards the northeast, because it might because the rain, the clouds, they will come from that direction, and that is the reason he is just gazing at that direction. Okay, now let's see what he has to say. Now we are really going to get some water, woman, probably he's talking to his wife. Okay, so what he says that we are really going to get some water. So he predicts the future. He thinks that okay, now I think we are going to the rain will come and we will get some water to water our fields. The woman who was preparing supper replied. So the woman replied, and she was preparing supper. Supper means a dinner. So she was preparing the dinner and she replied, yes, God willing. Look at the word, God willing. Now the woman is also a bit faithful towards the god. Now look at the condition of this Lencho and his family. They all are dependent on the nature. They all are dependent on the God's will. If the God's will is there, they will give us some rain. The rain will fall and we will get the good harvest. If God doesn't will anything, then nothing will happen. No rain will come, no harvest will is going to come out of it. So they are completely dependent on the God's will. The older boys were working in the field, while the smaller ones were playing near the house until the woman called to them, "Come for dinner." Okay, look at this plural noun, the older boys and the smaller ones. So it means that plural nouns are there. Plural nouns are there. So that means Lencho has a very big family. So the older boys, they used to work in the field and the smaller one used to play around the house, and they came to the house for the dinner. It was during the meal that, just as Lencho had predicted, big drops of rain began to fall. So, as earlier Lencho predicted that we will get some water. Okay, the same thing happens. Big drops of rain started falling. In the northeast, huge mountains of clouds could be seen approaching. So from the northeast directions, what one can see, huge mountains of clouds. So it is again the writer has used elaborated these clouds, the huge mountains of clouds. So that means the clouds are in a very large quantity. Okay, so they came in a very large quantity and they are approaching towards that valley. The air was fresh and sweet. Of course, when the rain comes, the atmosphere becomes very pleasant, very fresh and very sweet. The man went out for no other reason than to have the pleasure of feeling the rain on his body. And when he returned, he exclaimed, "These aren't raindrops falling from the sky. They are new coins. The big drops are 10-cent pieces and the little ones are fives." Okay, so when this rain approached, when this rain started falling, so he went outside of the house to make himself completely drenched in that water. We all love to drench in the water. Okay, so he went outside to fill the water over his body, and when he came back, what he said that these aren't raindrops falling from the sky. They are the new coins. Now look at these words: new coins, raindrops. So he has compared raindrops with the new coins. Now how these raindrops becomes new coins? Okay, new coins are the metaphor for raindrops, for length of course. Because why the writer has used, why the lecturer has used new coins for raindrops? See, earlier as earlier in the earlier slide, we see that Lancho is hoping for the rain because rain is the only thing that will bring him a good harvest. So if he will get the rain, he will get some good harvest, and that good harvest will give him some money. He is the farmer. Ultimately, he will earn by selling his uh, harvest. Okay, so he is expecting rain for that only. So they can have some money. That is the reason that he has described these raindrops with the new coins. So these aren't raindrops for him. These raindrops are new coins for him because they will give him some money. The big drops are 10-cent pieces and the little ones are fives. Okay, in the writer introduction, we see that his writings, his stories are somewhat hilarious, right? So that is what here. The big drops are 10-cent pieces and the smaller ones are 5 pieces is the currency, okay, of Latin America. With a satisfied expression, He regarded the field of ripe corn with its flowers, wrapped in a curtain of rain. So now he is very satisfied, okay, because now the rain falls and whatever he hoped for, that definitely came true. So now he is very satisfied that now finally we'll get some water and we'll get some good harvest. And even the field was completely wrapped in a curtain of rain. Look at this use of these words; they are very figurative, right? So the the field was completely covered. The flowers, the corn, they are completely wrapped. They are completely covered in a curtain of rain. Curtain of rain, that means they're completely drenched with the water of the rain. Okay. But suddenly, now here comes the obstacle. But suddenly, a strong wind began to blow, and along with rain, very large hailstones begin to fall. So what happened now? That a strong wind began to blow. So there is a storm outside, and with the same with this wind and rain, what happened? A large hailstones. Hailstones are the pieces of ice that falls from the sky. We call it in Hindi. We call it baraf ke ole, right? Or in Gujarati we call it kara. Barafna kara. Okay, so they are beginning to fall. So hailstones started falling. Snow is falling from the sky. So there is a snowfall. These truly did resemble new silver coins. Of course, if the big drops of rains are resemblance of the 10 pieces and smaller one of are of the 5 pieces, that means this small pieces of hailstones or a snowfall, okay, they are of course a silver coins, but in reality it wasn't, right? The boys exposing themselves to the rain ran out to collect the frozen pearls. Okay, so they go crazy and they went out to collect the frozen pearls. They went out to collect that hailstones. It's really getting bad now, exclaimed the man. So now Lencho is very sad. What he said that it is really getting bad. Hailstorms didn't bring good harvest. Only rain will bring good harvest. So he is very upset. I hope it passes quickly. So now he has another hope that this hailstorm will passes very quickly. But it did not pass quickly. For an hour, the hail rained on the house, the garden, the hillside, the cornfield, on the whole valley. The field was wide as if covered with salt. So that hailstorm didn't stop quickly, and what happened? For about around an hour, it rained over the house, garden, hillside, cornfield, and the entire valley. And due to this hailstone, what happened? The field was covered with that hailstorms. It becomes completely white and covered with the salt. Earlier, when the rain was there, they were completely uh, covered with. They were completely wrapped in a curtain of the rain. Now they are covered with these hailstones, which resembles the salt. Not a leaf remained on the trees. The corn was totally destroyed. The flowers were gone from the plants. Lento's soul was filled with sadness. When the storm had passed, he stood in the middle of the field and said to his son, "A plague of locusts would have left more than this. The hail has left nothing." Okay, so nothing remained in that field. The trees are leafless, the corn was completely destroyed, the flowers are not there, they are completely gone from the plants, and that makes Lencho very sad. So when this storm pass, what he did, he stood in the middle of the field and he said to his son that a plague of locusts. Now, locust is a kind of insect which fly in a very big swarms or the groups. Okay, so they flies in a very big swarms or the groups and destroy the crops. So they always comes in a group or a swarms and they destroy the crops. So a plague of locusts, a group, a swarm of the locusts would have left more than this, because generally they destroy. Now locusts are somewhat similar to the grasshopper. They just look like that grasshopper, and they would have left more than this. The hail has left nothing. So instead of hailstorm, if this locusts, swarms of locusts would come, they would left more than this hailstorm, because hailstorm has completely destroyed the field. Now nothing is there. This year we will all will have no corn. That part was a sorrowful one. So that year they have no corn, because already the field was completely destroyed, and of course that night was a very sorrowful one. Everyone is sad. All our work for nothing. Okay, whatever they did for that good harvest, every work, every effort, it was nothing. Now it is completely destroyed, completely vain. There is no one who can help us. Okay, so no one was there who can help Lencho and his family. We'll all go hungry these years. So if no one will help them, nothing is come out of that field, then they have no money, nothing at all. So they will have to starve the whole year. Okay, next, oral comprehension check. Okay, students, these 4 questions are there. You have to write the answer in the comment section below. Let me know your answer. And let's see the questions. What did Lencho hope for? Okay, so what is his expectation? Wow, what he hoped for? Second, why did Lencho say the raindrops were like new coins? So the comparison between the raindrops and new coins. Why he thinks that the raindrops are like new coins? Third, how did the rain change? What happened to Lencho's field? Okay, so suddenly what happened? The rain was falling, and what happened to the what came there, and what happened to the Lencho's field? That is what you have to write there. What were Lencho's feeling when the hail stopped? Okay, what he feels when that hail stopped. Hope you guys enjoy this video. For further story, see the part 2.